This week's episode is brought to you by Support the Mountain's Herbal Parasite Cleanse. This formula targets the small and large intestinal tracts and larvae, the most broad-spectrum formula available today. 100% organic, formulated by Dr. Mikio Sankey, author of the Esoteric Acupuncture series. For 10% off your first bottle, visit shopyogahub.com and use the coupon code CLEANSE at checkout. Hello and welcome to YHTV's Flowing into Awareness with visionary and master intuitive Anna Tara. I'm Christina Suzuma, your host of this program. Today's subject, serving your best interests, serving yourself. And with us is the beautiful Anna Tara.
Good day, Christina.
Hello.
I like that greeting.
Oh, okay. What an interesting title today.
So, serving your best interest, serving yourself. I'm attempting to take us away from the idea that the self is something we need to hide from or be ashamed of, or that we need to step on or put aside in order to be brilliantly accepting individuals that see that everyone is one. Now, although I talk about those things a lot, we are only successful at being part of the whole, of being part of the greater ohana, the family of man, if we are able to resonate with what we can do for ourselves. We can serve other people often very easily, and yet sometimes we find it very, very difficult to resonate with or to serve the self. Okay. And I see this all the time in so many people and in workshops and with my clients. People are afraid to do or to ask for and then receive what they need the most. So we spend years and years and years listening to spiritual dialogues, and maybe we try to meditate a lot, and we ourselves go to workshops. And we are always trying to better ourselves. And we think and we believe that we've acquired lots of techniques and lots of great ideas that we can then go home or go back into work with and apply to what we are feeling and what we are doing. And that has worked for a while, but in some ways, but it has really shifted. As we all know, in this new era, in this new way of being, the idea that there was a way to be and that there is a new way to be is becoming more and more predominant. And that's good. That's okay. As long as we know what the difference between those two things is. All right? So if we believe that we've got all of these techniques in our pockets and we are trying really, really, really hard to be different, and we don't like something about ourselves and we like to change and shift completely, that is an element of the old self. The new self, which I'll talk about a little bit more in a minute, is a self that doesn't have to try to achieve anything. It doesn't have to try to feel loving for others. It doesn't have to try to acknowledge what the self wants. It just is. This new self is, as we say a lot and use the word a lot, it's just love. It's just simple. It's easy. It's comfortable with just being. And what I want to help everybody understand is that we get to that place by learning how to serve ourselves. Okay, so I was talking in the last episode about training, about the training that we're all in to become who we are meant to become. The fastest, most direct, easiest way to get to who you are to become, which is always changing because there's never any end to it. The fastest, easiest way to get there is to have a feeling, have a notion, have a thought, perceive an experience. Notice that you are responding to it or reacting to it, and then ask yourself, how can I best serve you? in this dynamic, in this feeling, in this thought, how can I, the true I, the I that is the connection to everything, the I that is spearheading your individual training, how can I serve this? How can I serve you? And you'll be quite surprised at what you're told, what you hear from inside about how you can serve yourself. So serving yourself is not about isolation. It's not about cutting yourself off. It's not about pretending that you are more important than anybody else. But it is about using the tools that you are and the tools that you have to serve your becoming. When you don't have to listen to a dialogue of fear or a dialogue of uncertainty, and you ask, how can I serve whatever this dialogue is bringing up, that answer will show you how to shift within yourself to serve yourself and to move out of the stalemate that we often find ourselves in into that full becoming, that pure, perfect self that is part of all other pure, perfect selves. I hope that wasn't too complicated, Christina.
No, it was. It's very clear, Anatara. Okay. I think when we hear the words "serving yourself," the immediacy of the society is, it's about being selfish, because you're only thinking of serving yourself. Because that is just the words, but that of course is not the intent of what you're sharing with us here. That's what's very interesting is like, I think in the years of, spiritual training, etc., it is about connecting with oneself. And, which is, depending on how one was raised. In my case, it was part Portuguese, Catholic, Asian, which both have deep, deep guilt syndromes. So the minute you talk about, serving oneself, it's like, what do you mean by that? It's like, no, never, So, and through the years of spiritual training, that was one huge hurdle for me, to be able to differentiate the difference of what that means, of what it means to connect to oneself. And so often now you will hear, it's the God within. It's coming to the God within. So it's very interesting, the shift and the process to it. For some, it's easier than others, I think. And the way you have explained it and articulated it here is, for me, it was very clear. But again, I've had to go through a process in time.
Well, most of us do, and that process is part of this training to become who we're meant to become, and that process is part of understanding that the self is the God self. When we reach in and serve the self, but with the self serving the self, we are actually serving the all that is. We are serving the God self, not a separate God self, the part of self that is the God self. That's just, God is just a word, and it is difficult for some people, but we are the Ohana. We are the complete Ohana of all existence when we can see how to step out of the idea that we have to make something happen, the way the old spiritual training seemed to lend itself to guide us to, and into the idea that spirituality, that spiritual self, that Ohana God self is inside, and that our personal serving of that self, that part of self, is the ticket to happiness and freedom.
Beautiful. Very nice. And I love what you said also, that it's just all love.
Exactly.
Beautiful. That's it. It caps the whole thing. It caps life,
It does. It is life.
Very nice. Thank you so much, Anatara, for this moment.
You're welcome.
Really lovely. And of course, we would like to thank each and every one of you for joining us in this new platform of education and information. We're grateful for your continuous support and look forward to hearing your feedback on how we can serve you better. You can also connect with Anatara by following her on Twitter @Anatara or on Facebook @Master Intuitive, and of course through her own website, anatara.ca. We would love to hear from you. Please share your comments, your questions, anything that comes to mind when you hear our shows. I'm sure Anatara would love to chat with you, and as do I. Give us a call if you're listening to us on podcast, or if you're viewing this online, leave us a comment in the comment box. And if it is via the phone, it is at 818-LETS-TALK. 818-LETS-TALK. Until next time, namaste.
But I think that a lot of people get hurt, spraining muscles or tearing muscles or bruising muscles, and not always sure what to do. And most of the time, people don't do it as well as they can. So I always think that by having an understanding of some of these systems, give you more insights in how to prevent problems, prepare yourself to be in the best shape, muscular-wise,